Everyone wants to have a perfect golf swing, whether it's real golf or the best virtual game out there, PGA Tour 2K21. In this video, I'm going to go over 11 crucial tips that you should be thinking about before and during every golf shot you take. And before you say it, believe me, I know, 11 is a lot. Who wants to spend that amount of time every single shot? Most of these are only going to take you about a split second. But at the end of the day, being able to recognize what they are is going to vastly improve your golf game. So, if you're a beginner, brand new to the golf game, or maybe you just want to learn a little bit more, feel free to stick around as we go through these tips. First off, who am I? I'm Mike Kilbride. I've been playing golf video games for as long as I can remember, and I've been playing this video game, PGA Tour 2K21, competitively since its release in August 2020. By the way, if you're looking to sign up and play competitively, which they have tournaments at all skill levels, consider clicking on the link in the description below to tgctours.com. It's free to play and welcome all new members. As a reminder, this video is the overview video. I will be creating subsequent videos breaking down all the basics of each of the components in further detail. Without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? First off, if you're brand new to the game, you'll notice a couple things, or maybe you're a little bit more experienced. I play without the distance control meter on. This is the first thing I would do if you are getting this game. Turn it off. To me, it is a major visual crutch that you become so reliant on if you have it on. Our first item and first tip is the wind. As you will notice at the top of the screen, there is a wind meter. If you're playing on most levels, it will display a numerical value of how fast the wind is. If it doesn't, you can also use how full this meter is to determine the miles per hour. The fuller it gets, as you can see, it just dropped from 9 to 8. The higher the number, the fuller this meter will get. Next up is lie. Lie is going to be found in the top right-hand corner of your screen. From a tee box, you will always be playing from a 100% lie. So as I mentioned, split-second decision. This is a 0-second decision. You never have to think about it. But say I knock this one. Oh boy, I hit a bad tempo here. Hit it right into the heavy rough. Well, now I really have to consider how this ball is going to come out. Between 75 and 82%, I'm going to give it a rough estimate number. Let's call it 79%. Well, this 3-iron is going to carry roughly 79% of what it used to carry. Now, do you have to be exact on your numbers? Some people will be, but as long as you have a ballpark idea, that's all that really matters. So now I know this 201 3-iron is probably going to carry a lot closer to about 160 when it's all said and done. Another thing that I completely forgot to mention about lie, use that lie grid. When pressing L1 or left bumper, you're going to notice this lie grid. Some societies play without it on, but based on your actual stance where you are right now, not just this number at the top, this is directionally going to go further right. As you can see, the ball is below my feet, and it also is a uphill shot, so I'm going to reduce distance because I'm hitting up a hill. Use your actual lie as well visually. Sometimes you can get down at an angle, see if the ball is above or below your feet, or if you're hitting downhill or uphill, to calculate a rough estimate of what trajectory you think you'll have to aim. Another very important thing to think about as you shoot and practice over time is your swing plane. You will notice it in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. It is a white bar going up and down the big circle. As you switch clubs, as you change your swing plane on each club, this bar will get thinner or wider depending on how good of swing plane it has. So experiment with different clubs. If you are good at swing plane, maybe take a little bit less swing plane clubs, so that way you can improve on other areas of your game. But ultimately, it's important that you swing directly up and down when hitting the ball. As you can see here, the majority of my line is in the white, maybe a smidge to the left, so that probably created a smidge left pull. Next up is tempo. Tempo is this arc at the top of the circle. As you play the game, if you've purchased it at the beginning, you will know that red fasts were a thing for a time, or you could intentionally almost shape a shot using a particular tempo. Now it is almost always desired to hit a perfect tempo, as you just saw there. You will want this as it will play the ball in the intended direction that you are aiming. If you hit a gray fast or you hit a red fast, it will start to go to the left. If you hit a red slow or a gray slow, it will tend to go to the right. You will also lose distance if you are off on tempo, so you will always want to try to hit a perfect tempo as best as possible to get a nice desired result. Next up is power. You may think this is self-explanatory, but it does come into play. As you can see there, you can partial particular clubs, so I can hit 80% of a driver. The partials will come in huge around the greens as you use your wedges and you chips and you do your splashes and pitch. You can really control your distances with partials. Now it does max out. Your top percentage is going to be 105%. Most people are going to target 100 or 101. Seems to be a comfortable percentage for most swings, but with an extended pause at the top of your swing, you can get a overpower, as you see there, 103, 104, 102%. It will cap out at 105. So if you're really trying to crank a driver down there as far as possible, 105 is going to be the max number that you can achieve. Next up is Loft. Loft is done by pressing the left bumper if you're on a controller, or L1, and you will hold that and then move your left stick up and down. The more loft, as you can see, I put on the club as I go down on L, typically you will lose yardage. If you de-loft it, you will typically gain yardage. This will help especially around the green. And the main component of loft is the more loft you have, the less rollout you will have. The more de-loft you have, the more rollout you will have. As you go further in your clubs, for example, a 3-iron, if you de-loft, you will actually lose carry yardage. However, you may have a larger rollout. You can use this to shape your shots to be a desired outcome. In this one, maybe I want to de-loft it to get a little extra yardage to make sure I get to this pin. Next up, which goes hand in hand with loft, is spin. Spin is done using the same mechanic. You're holding the left bumper, except this time you're going to be using the right stick to control that meter on the right here. As you go down, you will be adding more backspin, or if you go up, you are taking off spin, and it will have a more larger rollout. This will come much more into play as you get closer and closer to the hole. Your wedges will have the most spin, and pitches can spin like crazy. Let's see if we can spin one here with a sand wedge. We've added a ton of backspin, so as this lands, it should spin backwards quite a bit. Just like that. Next up is elevation. Elevation is going to be crucial when you hit your shots, and you want to decide how to play it before you hit them. For example, you are going to notice elevation in 2 spots. You are going to see it on your aim marker if you have that on. So where I am aiming is down 63 feet, and then over on the top right hand corner I can tell how far up or down the pin is. So the pin is 471 yards away, but also 71 feet down. Now there is a simple trick that most people use to calculate how much that elevation change is going to impact the shot. Every 3 feet down will be 1 extra yard of carry. Every 3 feet up will be 1 less yard of carry. Now this is just a ballpark estimate, but it's a common trick that most people will use. For example, this one here is down 63 feet, so I'm going to add about 21 yards of carry to my 296. Now I also have to factor in other things like wind, but I would expect this to carry about 21 yards further than the 296. Next up, number 9, shot shaping. Just like loft and spin, you can shape a shot. I've turned on the Pro meter here, the vision, so you can see the shape as I am moving it. If you hold the left bumper and move to the left, you will simply add a cut for a right-hander. Or if you move to the right, you will be adding a draw for a right-hander. This, as you will see, reduces your yardage typically, and dependent upon if you are using D-loft as well, or maybe loft in combination with it, you can create all sorts of custom shapes for your shots. Maybe you need to go around a tree, or you want to hit a cut into this wind, or use it to create a larger rollout. You could do all sorts of combinations, but play around with the shot shaping to help give yourself a better angle into the hole. Next up is your controller selection and how it affects your user inputs. There is a multitude to select from as far as controllers as well as consoles that you are playing on. Now there's 3 main consoles that most people will be playing from. PlayStation usually has the largest player base. There is also a large player base on PC as well as Xbox. Now within each of those you have multiple options: PS4, PS5 controller, Xbox, new gen, old gen, elite controllers, hey, even mouse and keyboard. You can go from wired to wireless. All these different things come into play. Also, left stick, right stick, how you grip the controller. So find what's most comfortable for you and stick with it. Maybe try, if it's not working, try out some different combinations. What the vast majority of the people play on in the highest competitive level seems to be PlayStation controllers, specifically PlayStation 5, if you are afforded that luxury. If you are not, mouse and keyboard is also an option for PC players. And if you're on Xbox, just get a nice Xbox controller. And as far as which stick you would prefer to use, I personally use the right stick to swing, but there are many great golfers that use the left. It is perfectly acceptable to use either or. Before we get to the final tip of the evening, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching thus far. If you did enjoy up to this point, consider giving it a like. If you want to see more of this content, click that subscribe button, maybe even hit that notification button. I post maybe once a week or so you won't get bombarded. And if you are interested in more golf stuff, I do stream live on Twitch every Tuesday where I play my competitive rounds. And I also am a co-host of a podcast called Red Fast Review, also on my Twitch channel every Monday at 8:30. And you can also find all of the past episodes on our YouTube channel, Red Fast Review, which I will put the link in the description below. Last one, number 11. It seems simple, but it really is true. Your brain and your nerves. And what I mean by this, before you click out, is the moment, living in the moment. Does this shot in this practice round that I just opened up mean something to me? Is it the same as my competition round when I'm about to hit this 3-iron? No. Getting used to that, being able to make these calculations and hitting my desired tempo, swing plane, that all comes into play. Even though it's virtual golf, I can guarantee you feel the pressure in the moment. If you haven't played competitively yet, when you do, you just may not feel like you can hit the same scores. Give it time and you will get there. Thank you so much for watching the first Tips from Tips video. Till next time.